Hi everyone, I'm Lauren, your sewing buddy, back with you after a couple of weeks off. I wanted to take the time to introduce you to my greatest project. This is Finnegan, and he's 2 weeks, 5 days today. So, uh, mostly just eating and sleeping, but I wanted to make sure that you all got to meet him. And then for today's video, what I've been working on is Regency shift, something kind of easy to get back into it after taking a little bit of time off for obvious reasons. Um, so, as always, let me start out. Please, if you enjoy this video, give it a like, subscribe, comment. If you would like to help with diapers for Finnegan, I have a coffee link and a Patreon link in my description. But without further ado, let's get into the sewing. So for this, I used a drafting method that I got from marariley.net, and I'll have linked to that in the description. I'm using this linen, which is left over from another shift, I think. I think that was one of the classes I took at Costume College, and that's where this came from. It does have a slight green tinge because I pre-washed it with another fabric that was not as color fast as I thought it would be. So once I get this laid out, we can figure out the length. Luckily, I don't need this to be as long as a normal shift. I do intend to wear this with more modern styles. The reason I'm doing this is because I hand sewed a Regency writing stays while I was pregnant. I didn't record any of it because it was entirely hand sewing, and that would be a lot of stitch and chat sessions. So I figured I would spare you all that bit. Let's see if I can actually make some room here. Turns out when you have just had a baby, tidying up is not one of your priorities. But once I do make some floor space, I can get on with pattern drafting. So I've already taken all of my measurements that were required. I'm not really going into what those measurements are here. One, because it's kind of self-explanatory, and two, because, I'd like the source that I went from to get some traffic. So I've marked out my length on the edge here. Again, I don't want this to be full length, it's actually slightly above knee length. So I would wear it with skirts, obviously. I may even cut it shorter to like blouse length to wear with pants later, but we'll see. For now, skirt length works. And if all I ever wear from now on is skirts, I'm okay with that. It would even be cute with leggings, like, that leggings and tunic sort of look, except make it Regency. So now I'm just gonna do a snip and rip. And I snip through both sides just so I can make sure that it's vaguely on track here, because sometimes the snip and rip method has led me astray, but in this case it was like a 1/4 inch, so I'm not upset. So I'm gonna fold this back over selvage to selvage, and then use this. Oh, hold on, Jody has to move baby. There we go. Right. So this is going to be the front half of the shift. The website said to do it all as one piece, like the shoulders are connected and you fold the fabric in fourths, but I don't have the fabric to do that with, so I'm doing it this way instead. I do have another chunk of linen that I'm going to use for the back. They're not from the same source, but they are both linen, and they were both pre-washed with the same fabric, so they're both the same slightly green tinge. So now I need to mark out about halfway down the length, which is where the gore is inserted. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out because this is a shorter shift than the patterning calls for. So it may wind up that the gores are a little bit too high, in which case I'll probably do something quick and cheaty and just sew it shorter without trying to undo anything. Good luck, future Lauren, if that is the case. So next step after that's marked is to figure out the width at the shoulder. So I'm gonna mark here. And then also marking out the width of the strap, which I'm going with 3 inches for this one. It says 2 to 3 inches. And I'm not doing sleeves on this shift, because I think leaving it as just straps will add a little bit more versatility to it. And then I need to figure out the neckline. So for the back neckline, which I don't need to mark on this piece of fabric, but I'm doing it anyway because I was apparently being very thorough. I'm just doing a couple of inches down from the top of the fabric. And then for the front neckline, of course it goes a little bit deeper, which the website said to go all the way to the top of your stays. And this is me realizing exactly how deep that is and second guessing myself, doing a quick remeasure, realizing that, yeah, no, that's about right, because Regency stays are, I guess as the saying is, all of the apple, none of the stem, so it does sit fairly low. I am going to move it up just a little bit for my own sense of security. If it does wind up being that low, I can always cut it deeper later, but for right now, I'm going to play on the safe side. Okay, so the next step then is to mark out from that halfway point mark I made all the way up to the top of the shoulder, which again, it may be a little bit odd having the gore that high, because this definitely made an odd shape, but you know, we'll follow it through and see how it works, because even if I have to kind of rinky-dink something together, these are not intended to be seen, so it should be okay. And then with that marked, wait, that, why did that mark like that? I don't know. I'm just confused, apparently. Let me double check my numbers here really quick. Okay, I've got it figured out. I am ready to cut this. Because that's really all there is to the shift shape. It's all just triangles and rectangles. And that edge that goes straight down is where the gore goes, so that kind of, you know, completes that line of angle. Although that is still a really sharp, I don't know if I want to call it sharp or an obtuse angle, but it's not what I thought it would be. In any case, just get that neckline cut out, and then we are ready to move on to the back. And that was me debating if I wanted this piece to be the front or the back, but I'm going to go with the front because the back neckline will be a lot more forgiving. And then just need to cut that out. I'm going to, I think, finish these edges by hand. The rest of it's going to be machine sewn because I already did the stays by hand. I don't need to torture myself with that again. So now I need the fabric for the back. Once I set those gores aside. Here we go. Hopefully I have enough to get the same length out of this. We'll find out. Because again, this is a fabric that's leftovers from another project. I can't recall what for this one, but it's not ideal, the salvage or the yardage that I have left. But it looks like I might, yeah, I do have enough length, so that's good. The downside is this is a 45-inch wide as opposed to a 60-inch wide. So the other fabric I used was 60, so I guess I'll just have to cut that first piece down a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is essentially use the front piece as a pattern, and then as you can see there is a lot of width that we're missing on this second one. So I'm going to trim the second piece down, or trim the first piece down rather. Just want to make sure all the edges are matched up nicely and everything's laying fairly flat. Once again, this is an undergarment, so hopefully won't be seen by anyone. But now I need to find out where that halfway point on this is. Oh, and I should measure from the very top of the piece I'm working with. Okay, so that's going to be our new starting point for that angle. I just need to cut all of this excess off, but that will make for some very good gores. And then once I get this cut off, I can just cut straight up from that mark that I made to the outer shoulder point. And everything from there should be easy peasy. I just need to actually cut out the gores and then sew everything together. So that is not a straight cut, but once again, undergarments and shifts are like one of the most forgiving garments you can make. Like if you're just starting out in sewing and you're really nervous about making anything, make a shift. It doesn't matter what era it's for, they're all basically the same. Just you cut it out, and if it's not a perfect cut, then that's okay, because it's not a form-fitting garment, so the drapiness of it does give you some leeway with it. And sadly, this project is not turning out as fabric conservative as it would traditionally be, but I'm doing my best with the information I have. Just need to cut out that back neckline, and then I should be ready to start assembling, I think. Though I do still need to cut off the excess at the bottom edge here, so luckily I think I've got that length marked already. Well, I can just use the length of the original piece, but you can see it is sort of at an angle for some reason, so I'm gonna try to even that up. I'm not sure how that happened. I mean, you saw me snip and rip, but maybe it's not actually at an angle and I'm just screwing everything up here. I don't know. It'll be an interesting hemline if not. So now I need to make sure I've got fabric for the gores, which once again I have ample because of that width difference. So let's see though. Yeah, because this was from the original cut, but I need 4 pieces, so I am going to wind up using these that I cut off of the excess width. So first I need to figure out exactly how long they need to be, and there's sort of an angle on there already, but I don't want to use that angle. What I'm doing is just continuing that first that angled line down. So that means I'm going to cut the edge of this off so that it's straight. This will be on a bias, so that's fine. It just means it'll stretch a little bit. And it may need adjustments over time because of that. Uh, I'm just using the very edge of the front and back panels as my template there. And then I just need to cut over across for the length, which again, not a difficult trick. Just gonna fold this up so I get a nice straight cut. Again, not entirely sure why, because this is going to be on the bias regardless. But if you need to make a straight-ish cut and you don't have a ruler handy and the fabric is manageable to be folded, then this is probably the best way to accomplish that. So there is one of the 4 gores that I need, but I can now use that as a template for the other ones. Basically do angled cuts there, I think. One here and then flip it. None of my cuts are straight because this is sort of a loose weave linen, but it will function appropriately, just at least for a shift's purposes. I have so much cabbage from this project, it's not even funny, but you know, linen cabbage is not the worst thing to have. Like, that could be a handkerchief right there. Then I'm going to take some bits that I have left over from the original cuts and use that to cut out 2 of these. And then I'll have all of my pieces cut and I'll just need to assemble. Easy peasy. And then because these are right triangles, I can just flip and use that angle I just cut and cut 1 straight line and have my second one all done, ready to go. And there we are. Okay. So now it's onto assembly, which looks something like that. And here we have half of it put together at least. I got the shoulders French seamed, and then I did a French seam all the way along the side, leaving the armhole open. I measured that to make sure I had enough room for my arm. And then there's the gore, and the rest of this is going to be hand stitching, including fixing this. So look forward to another chat or stitch and chat session, and I will see you for that next week. Go create beautiful things, my friends.